At long last, the Atlanta Falcons get a big-time pass rusher they have coveted for, I would say, more than a year, and now get Matthew Judon, the former Pro Bowler.
That's right. We're in the Matrix. Breaking news to start this NFL Daily. I am here for the first time ever with the man that broke the news, and that was a clip of him breaking the news earlier, but well after we taped the rest of our show. But we're putting this at the top. Ian Rapoport, you had the news. Matthew Judon to the Falcons for a third-round pick. Why now?
First of all, I like that you do this. Give the people what they want. They want the news. They want it now. Tack it on to the top of the show. I'm for this. This is a good trade, and I think it's a good trade for both sides. Let's start with the Patriots side of it first. They were not getting anywhere with Matthew Judon. I think for a while they thought they were. They had extensive contract talks to try to get something done long-term or maybe short-term with Judon to make him happier. Remember, he was making less than $7 million this year because they took money last year from this year and moved it forward. If you do that, you got to fix it, and they were unable to fix it based on his demands. He was kind of unhappy. There was the spat with Gerard Mayo on the sideline. This was not going in a good direction. The Patriots, look, they could be good. Anything can happen. It's clearly a transition year. A 32-year-old pass rusher wants a new contract. Makes sense on someone else's team, not their team. That's the Patriots side of it. For the Falcons, they've been looking for a pass rusher for a long time. They were in on the Montez Sweat deal, did not end up getting him. They were in on the Hassan Reddick deal, did not end up getting him for whatever reason. I'm not saying they lost out. They made decisions throughout, but I'm just saying those were two of the guys they're in on. Latu, they tried to trade up for in the draft. Didn't happen. So now they get Judon. They can deal with it from a salary cap standpoint. They could deal with it from a pick standpoint. For the Atlanta Falcons, this is kind of their final thing, and I think it makes a lot of sense for them.
Oh, yeah, it makes a ton of sense. I just assume he's going to get paid by the Falcons, but the price, a third-round pick, that's fine for what has been a top-shelf pass rusher. I mean, Judon is coming off an injury that's not something you worry about long-term. He's not an aging pass rusher that's coming off a torn Achilles or a torn ACL. It's a biceps injury, and so you would expect him to play well. Do you think he gets a new contract with Atlanta before the season? He must. Otherwise, this doesn't make any sense.
Right. I mean, I think there will be something. Will it be a new contract, or will it be a reworked year this year? Will it be incentives if he has the sack numbers he wants? There's different ways you can deal with it. But I think for him, going elsewhere probably makes sense, and that really opens up all the possibilities. Like, I think for the Patriots, it probably would have only been a long-term extension. For the Falcons, who look like maybe they're a little further along, maybe they just rework this year. And then, pass rushers who are in their 30s get paid. I mean, I forget what Von Miller was. I think he was like 32 or 33 when the Bills signed him. Like, these guys can still make real money. So if he goes out and kills it, he can cash in free agency again. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, Clowney just got paid pretty good money from Carolina, more than he had gotten the previous years.
Leonard Floyd also. Yeah.
And they needed him, but they better give him some money, or as, a quasi-Patriots fan here, I'd be annoyed. It's like, what are we doing here if we're just giving up their best edge rusher? A third-round pick, okay, great. I mean, it's okay return, but is there any concern from the Patriots side of things that this training camp, there's been displeasure, among some of the players, Devon Godshaw and then Matthew Judon, both expressing publicly. Judon gets in the public fight, then he's back, and he's kind of sometimes practicing, sometimes not, and then they basically do what he wants, and he gets his way. Any worry about Gerard Mayo kind of setting a bad precedent here?
No, because this is money. And when players want money, I think there are different ways you can handle it. Godshaw got the new deal. He got the deal he wanted, got a 2-year deal. Judon didn't, and he got traded. I don't think the Patriots did anything that would let people say, like, oh, well, they set precedent. Look, there are players all over the league who want new contracts and don't get them, and sometimes those guys get traded. So I think the Patriots handled it fine. And you can talk about the return. To me, it's fine. Like, it's basically a 4th rounder this year, which is the same thing as a 3 next year. That's equal value. It's fine. The Patriots.
I feel like we got to rework that, by the way. You know how they've always said that is like next year's 3rd is, worth the 2nd this year. I say no. I say a third is a third.
No.
It's like money, Ian. Like, if you can just be patient and have a long-term view, a third is worth a third. So I'm just saying a third next year. It's one thing when if he was going to be on the team past this year, but he wasn't going to be. It was the final year of his contract. So I think it's fine. It's not like Brandon Ayuk getting traded for picks now where you're not getting anything back and you should have just, that's not helping you. It's not the same thing to me.
Right. This is a transition team. And I think the Patriots did fine. And I think for Matthew Judon, he did fine or maybe really well.
Oh, yeah. He gets to go live in Atlanta instead of, I don't know if he's making the drive from Boston or he's living in Foxborough. That'll be great. Meanwhile, he's the first pass rusher on Atlanta that's a good edge rusher since John Abraham. I mean, it's outrageous. I don't want to put you in a bad spot, but I do, Ian.
Okay. Now, it won't be the first
Name
time.
another Falcons pass rusher. Like an edge rusher. I won't even give you Grady Jarrett. That doesn't count. I don't blame you. Not many people could do it. Arnold Ebiketie, Lorenzo Carter. It's maybe in terms of just pure talent.
The one guy
at the bottom of the league.
I mean, they had a third rounder who they liked a lot who got hurt.
Yeah, Braylon Trice is on IR. We said that on the pod a couple days ago, so that maybe was what inspired this.
Arnold Ebiketie, tip of my tongue.
Appreciate you, Ian, adding to the top of our show. I was so excited because all week I'm trying to get these NFL dailies shorter, and maybe our listeners let me know. Just because it's daily, it's a lot. You want it to pack a punch and get it a little bit shorter so people can read it, listen to it every day. Maybe I'm wrong. And the shows this week had been a little longer, and I was excited because we got a banger coming up. Patrick Claybon's in the studio. Colleen Wolfe's in the studio. We hear all about Colleen's travels. We get very angry and tell a lot of people to pipe down. We break down J.J. McCarthy and all that, and it was a nice, tight show. But now me and you, the two short kings of NFL media, just added to it, and now it's not going to be quite as short.
I like how you made us equivalent. Good move by you.
Yeah, we're not quite there. I'm glad you mentioned that. Before I do throw it to that, I just had to tell you, my son told me to tell you because I came right off the tennis court. I went from the show to the tennis court with Walker, and I told him how I'm going to do this, and he was like, tell Ian I'm a fan. He's got a cool job. And I was like, well, what about my job? And that's a pretty cool job. He's like, no, I want to break news like Ian. So you have a fan in Walker.
Yeah, well, tell him thank you, but tell him don't, because I would like all the news for myself.
Okay, by then you'll be too old eventually. Thank you again, Ian. And yeah, let's get to the top of the show with Colleen and Patrick. Welcome to NFL Daily, where we can't do a lot of subtle movements right now. I'm Gregg Rosenthal, and I'm beyond lucky today to be joined by my friends, Patrick Claybon and Colleen Wolfe. It is great to see you two. It is great, frankly, that both of you are still alive after the accidents that you've had while at inside training camp.
Listen,
I mean, mine was exceedingly minor. I'm just glad Colleen is here.
everything's fine. I can't really talk about the details of the accident.
Okay.
But yes, I am. I'm here and I'm alive, and thank God. That's great.
And you're feeling healthy. You're okay. You're
I
with
can't
us.
really talk about the accident. Is what I'm saying.
I can talk about mine. It's all my fault. I'm riding a scooter through Cincinnati in a rainstorm and hit a pothole because I can't see it. Everybody's watching.
I
It's
can't
very
believe that
embarrassing.
happened.
Yeah, but again, I'm glad Colleen's here.
But then you did television immediately after
4 hours.
being on
That's
the pothole,
crazy.
and you were bleeding, and
Eventually, the bleeding stopped. I got enough scar tissue on my knee that other stuff's not an issue.
So you were like scraped up as if you had been on the playground and tripped and fell. And was there
Yes.
asphalt like in your knee and everything?
Well-
Did you get this cleaned out before the show?
There's still little pieces of
No, I
of
see
rock
them.
and glass because I was holding my phone in my hand and I broke it in half and we're doing the show. And Baldy and Bridget had a lot of fun, talking about it. but
Sounds like a ton of fun.
yeah, it was great. It was good to be in Cincinnati. The groundskeeper tried to turn the sprinklers on us. I love it. I want to go back.
Oh my God.
well, that does sound like fun. More fun than Colleen's, an accident we cannot talk about.
And we'll
Right.
no matter
We
what on this show.
Can't really talk about it. Although I will say, I got an X-ray on Monday, and I had to go and get my earrings put back in because you have to take out all of like the metal. And the guy that put my earrings back in knows Randy and Eric.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
There
Tony from down at your Cheating Heart Piercing in Hermosa.
Tony,
Yeah.
that's my boy.
Their
Down at
ears perked
Hermosa
up
Beach.
immediately. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he's my guy. He made me custom slip-on Vans.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, and he hooked Eric up with some piercings. Yeah, Tony's my guy, dude.
No way.
He's the
Shout out to
best.
Tony.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Tony saving the day.
I'm
That's so
excited. I mean, Randy just lit up. Randy's great. I love Randy
That's
and
our
Eric
boy.
behind the glass here. And yeah, Colleen being back, this really gets us going. You know, Colleen's, we've missed her for a couple weeks, but now she's going to be here weekly.
I am.
And Patrick, obviously, as well. And
Anytime, Greg.
we got a lot to talk about. So yeah, let's do some news. But before we hit the news drop, I do want to say we're gonna hear about Colleen's travels
Yes.
around training camps, and we're also got a little sound for that.
Uh-huh.
And
Love
we're also gonna just talk about issues around the NFL. Maybe we're gonna direct this at certain fan bases. At least I am.
Okay.
Where just people need to pipe down a little. Just pipe down. People need to just relax. But before that,
Fill out, everyone.
let's do some news. The Vikings fans got the news that they did not want to hear on Wednesday. J.J. McCarthy will miss the entire 2024 season. They did surgery on his torn MCL, and they realized they needed to do a full repair, and that will mean he is out for the season. Kevin O'Connell was clearly disappointed when he spoke to the media, but he did try to see the positive in the situation.
He's confirmed everything that I hope to see, not only early on through training camp, through his performance last Saturday, but he should, our fan base and everyone should just be, excited about the fact that we've got our young franchise quarterback, I believe, in the building.
Yeah, the way O'Connell said it there, it almost feels like it's coach speak, trying to find the good. But he's right. As season-ending injuries go, and it was a torn meniscus, it was not a torn MCL. Just wanted to correct that. He's a 21-year-old, got his whole football future in front of him. This is not an ACL. It's not an Achilles. O'Connell talked about how he's going to be able to be back in the building and get some of the positives of going through an NFL season. He wasn't expected to start right away, and he did get the entire offseason until this point. Maybe I'm crazy trying to spin this positive, but it is a little different, and he showed a lot in that offseason. I think his training camp, just for the people that were there, that I trust, that were watching it day in, day out, was really impressive that he was ahead of schedule, and you saw that in the preseason opener. So on one hand, that is a huge tease for Vikings fans.
Yeah.
On the other hand, he did get some really good work in this offseason, and he's a really young quarterback, and I believe, he's the heavy favorite to be their week 1 starter next year.
Well, yeah, and the fact that they were never actually, of course they're going to say this, but they didn't have to play him, because they had Sam Darnold, even though they would have played him because it would have been crazy to not as such a high draft pick. But there's no pressure, and it's not like they don't have a backup plan there. They have the backup quarterback in Sam Darnold. It absolutely is crushing for them, for him, all of it, but they're not in a terrible situation because the plan, and at least the plan that was being told and shopped around to all of us, was that Sam Darnold was going to start the season, and that is exactly what will happen now. And you know what? Maybe it is good because you get to see quarterbacks now. That's how it was in the olden days when quarterbacks would come in, they'd get drafted high, they would sit for a year. There is something to that. There is something beneficial in watching guys who have reps already run the huddle and see how everything works, and just watching and learning is good.
And I think we saw him pushing Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the clip that Vikings fans will kind of survive on for a year is him throwing that touchdown pass and Justin Jefferson being mic'd up on the sideline
Right.
during the call and celebrating that. I think the big positive takeaway is because meniscus repairs can go so many different ways. We've seen teams, we've seen organizations try to take the fast route and rush somebody there. And if he started early, he would have been the second youngest quarterback to ever start, right behind Sam Darnold in his time in the Jets. And so you could see the long-term plan of having a healthy and happy JJ, and we're not rushing him back. We're not trying to, massage the opinion of the surgeon or the player and say, hey, you can be back this year. We need you back. Take it easy, do the full repair, and get him back as good as he can in 2025.
I do think the ceiling for this team is lower. Maybe I'm getting too worked up about one preseason game.
I think you are. You might need to calm down.
I know. Maybe I need to. Well, I'm going to tell some people to pipe down and related to the Vikings very shortly. But he was really impressive in that game, and we kind of seen who Darnold was. And the whole idea of this was the best situation for any rookie quarterback to walk into. I agree with that, because not only does he have the weapons like Caleb Williams does, but he has a really good tackle combination, good offensive line, good offensive coach, which I think there's more questions about that with Chicago, and a frisky defense with Brian Flores, and their over-under was 7.5. I know that division's tough, but I thought they were in the mix. If you told me that they made the playoffs and had a fun season where they win 10 games and McCarthy's good, that wouldn't have surprised me. Now I think the ceiling's a little.
Okay, let me ask you this. How many wins do you take off now projecting with Sam Darnold as the starter, just in your mind?
I'll say 1.5.
That's it.
I mean, that's a big projection for J.J. McCarthy to be that good as a rookie, because I'm mostly saying the rest of the team was capable and they had a chance if McCarthy, came out, guns blazing. I'm a little lower on Darnold than consensus, I would say.
Yeah, it's tough to get late season Darnold previous years out of our minds, where it kind of reaches a point where the wheels come off, and we're thinking late in the season as McCarthy starts to come into his own, they pick up some wins there, and now it's just Sam the whole way. It changes how I feel.
Right. Okay. So here's who needs to pipe down. We're doing a segment later, pipe down, but it would have been.
You can't wait.
I'm not going to wait because it's about the Vikings. The Darnold hive needs to pipe down.
Really?
The best day of every season for the Darnold hive is the day the quarterback in front of him gets hurt. And it's all right, let's calm down. I remember you celebrating because Brock Purdy had an injury at practice last year, and they were like, oh, it's now Darnold's time to shine. And I could see all these little gremlins crawling out of the woodwork.
Wow.
Yesterday, celebrating this young man's injury.
No one's celebrating.
They were kind of just like, it's Sam's time to shine. And
we got a name and shame.
Okay,
it's everyone.
What if
Tice is into him.
You know what's going to happen,
Kimes,
Greg?
Jeremiah.
Get him.
Solak probably likes him.
Sam Darnold is going to be Geno Smith.
See, I don't buy that.
Woo.
There's a difference.
What if that
I've
happened?
heard that.
Colleen trolling.
I mean, no, that's good. I like this. I think if because of the situation around him, and he could be better as a 28-year-old, I believe he is now than he's been before. That's possible. I think the ceiling's a little lower, but yeah, he could be like a poor man. He could be like a Baker last year with
This is
Tampa.
what I want to happen.
Yeah.
I want you to be wrong about this. I want Sam Darnold to thrive. I want his hive to grow and be louder. That sounds bad.
He could be better. Okay, so the best stretch. Here's why he's not Geno Smith. Geno Smith wasn't playing all that time. Sam Darnold's played a ton. He's been playing this whole time. I'm going to read you. I came prepared.
Let's get it.
His PFF rankings.
Okay.
Throughout his career. 64. 63. And now
these are this is with the Jets?
That's the starting with the Jets.
Okay.
Yes. But the thing with PFF, and I don't think it's perfect, although I think their grades for quarterbacks are better than people give them credit for, it is trying to take out the situation around them. 60s is actually okay. It's not as bad as his numbers were as a rookie. It's kind of saying you're close to league average, you're a little below that. 70 is decent, 80 is, you're a good
So it's like a Dalton line?
A pretty good starter.
Around there?
64, 63, 58, 55, 63, 66. I look at that and I look at, there's a consistent quarterback. There's a guy who's kind of shown us who he is throughout his career, which is a high-level backup.
Is the 55 the Matt Rule Panthers era?
The 50, yes.
Oh, man.
Because
okay.
I feel like we may be able to
No, it's
that.
not. It's actually it's a little combination, I think, yeah.
Okay. I am willing, as a person who shares, maybe not as vehement and passionate as you are about it, I'm willing to get rid of that particular
throw that one
segment,
away,
because that was bad for everybody.
I agree with you. You're right. And the best stretch of his career was the next season. That's where I was getting confused with Rule, where he played for the Panthers and had about a 5 or 6 game stretch where he didn't make those Darnoldian decisions.
Darnoldian.
Which kind of reminds me of like when Kirk Cousins went bad early in his career, and he just does inexplicable things. Like he'll be a really solid, obviously talented quarterback for a while, and then he'll just do something and you're like, why did you do that?
Mm-hmm.
And he had a nice stretch with the Panthers, I think, after Rule was gone, until like a Week 18 game where he completely fell apart, and that's why the final grade was probably at 6.
So his best grade on there was when he was where?
I mean, it was all about the same. The first couple of years in the Jets, and then that season.
So but we've never seen him in a situation that he will be in with the Vikings.
Yeah.
That's the Darnold hive buzzing in our ear.
I think he can be better. He needs help though, and Jordan Addison got carted out of practice.
This is bad
on Wednesday, not long before we taped. It might not mean much. We've seen a lot of carteds lately, and I'm always tracking it for this show. And I've learned not to even bring it up on the show until you find out a day or two later, because more times than not, it's a couple days or it's half a week. And so hopefully that's the case with Jordan Addison, and it's not anything serious. We don't know though.
I hope not, because getting carted off with an apparent leg injury feels a bit serious, but again, it could be overblown because everything, I feel like every single little piece of news right now is because everyone is so starved.
Well, the cart's there. Like if you have a lower body injury, why not cart him off? Apparently, he was putting a little bit of weight on it. He was kind of limping over to it. So just
okay.
And that's what we need. If you're there and watching a guy, tell us the full context.
Yes.
How did they get to the cart?
Right.
Don't just say, Colleen carted off with lower leg injury. It's like, whoa, I'm worried now. But give us the full context. What happened in the play? You don't have to be Twitter doctor, but just give us more than the
paint us a picture a little bit.
But even and I'm glad they're really careful. Tyrone Tracy, the Giants' backup running back, had an air cast put him on, which is usually a kiss of death. And his injury didn't end up being as serious as they thought, and he's going to be back in a couple weeks.
I just expect the worst case scenario with everything. So
come on, we got to turn this around, Connie. Although I know it's been an off season.
You
got to get that.
That's what I'm saying.
Get that back feeling better. And immediately after Addison left the practice, the reports were that Darnold threw an interception to Jefferson, that pressure was all over him, and that one of the Browns cornerbacks, because it was a joint practice, were just screaming over to the Vikings sideline, "Y'all can't catch a cold. Y'all can't catch a cold."
Oh my God.
Maybe he's in the Darnold hive.
I think he is.
He's like, you gotta pick your guy up. He's out here balling.
All right, Randy was really coming in strong today. Lets me know the over/under is 6.5 at DraftKings. I don't know if it's gone down, because I promise you at one point it was 7.5. So it might have gone down one for McCarthy. I kind of doubt it though. A couple other just smaller items in the news. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah got a contract extension from the Browns. I think that was a good bit of business. I was assigned to do a top 50 free agents for 2025. He was in the top 25 or so of that. Got to take him off.
Nice.
He was good. Would have been the top off-ball linebacker. Those guys are hard to find. They're underpaid too, by the way. He got $25 million guaranteed, like not that much money. Dante Jackson, the cornerback for the Panthers, was taken off in a cart, so we'll keep an eye on him. And sorry, Dante Jackson now on the Steelers. I made a mistake. He was traded for Deontay Johnson. But their cornerback situation actually is pretty thin after him. That's why they traded for him in the first place. Jahmyr Gibbs and Terrion Arnold, who both had injuries with the Lions, are expected back before the start of the season. Those appear to be relatively minor. And Matthew Stafford left practice with some hamstring tightness. So we'll just keep an eye on that. Colleen.
Yeah.
You have been traveling around the world.
Yeah.
Really this country. But the world a little bit earlier in the off season.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're talking about here.
Right.
We're talking about your travels.
All right.
Around the country, and you're going to report back to us.
Okay, so I'll just give you the top line items here. I was in Oxnard for Cowboys training camp. Learned that Mike McCarthy had been boxing with Dan Quinn, so now he's going to need a new sparring partner. That feels like it's something that is important and pressing at this point.
Also feels like a one-sided matchup.
You think Dan was tuning him up?
I would love to know more about it, and I really wanted to dig in, but we needed to ask about the team.
Mike McCarthy, he could pack a punch. He's from Pittsburgh. He's a tough guy. He always talks about how he's a tough guy. I bet he might know how to fight and just knock you out quick. But as someone who tried to start boxing for about a 4 or 5 month period,
you did
at the gym, yeah. You have to be in outstanding shape. I mean, it's got to be the most tiring thing that has ever been created. So Mike McCarthy doesn't seem like he would last very long. I don't think.
Well, I don't know. I don't know, Greg. Let's put Mike McCarthy and you in a ring. See what happens.
Do we want to set the fight up?
I mean, I'm definitely better than I would have been before I did that.
You guys are going to do the weigh-in.
Can we cut a promo?
If I got in a fight now, I would feel more confident.
Okay.
All right, go on. Sorry.
I was in Canton for Hall of Fame. I have grown to absolutely love going to Hall of Fame so much. It is just like an absolute blast. I was able to do this little thing with Dan Fouts and Rondé Barber. We were kind of set up in front of everyone next to the stage and just talked in between all of the inductees. And Dan Fouts is hilarious. I don't know if people know this, but he's one of the funniest people alive, and he's so dry about it. So if you're not paying attention, the jokes just go over everyone's heads. It's amazing.
Little Fouts bomb. Underrated as a quarterback, too. I think he
Underrated.
gets forgotten when you think of all-time quarterbacks because he didn't get to that final game. And, let's just say it. Maybe the best or one of the best preseason crews out there. Daniel Jeremiah, Matt Money Smith, and Dan Fouts.
So good.
You're cooking with gas.
I love them.
They almost make it worth watching like Easton Stick for 3 quarters.
How many 3 and outs did we see from Easton Stick?
But seriously, they're great. Go on.
The universe somehow keeps pairing me up with Rondé Barber, and I've told him multiple times that he ruined my childhood when he shut down Veterans Stadium, the final game there,
that's right.
and broke every single Eagles fan's heart. So now I have to keep doing events with him, but also I feel as if I'm a turncoat because we get along now, kind of like my relationship with Michael Irvin. So I don't know. I guess maybe it's growth, maybe it's maturity, but you grow, and that's what I'm doing. Also, I heard that my one friend went to Andre Johnson's Hall of Fame party, and he said that all he got was a bobblehead for throwing him all of his touchdowns. So that made me laugh. Let's go to Indianapolis. And it's happening again. Every time I go to Indianapolis for Colts camp, I immediately drink all of the Kool-Aid, and I'm all in.
Colts.
Colts.
They're just one of those teams that you just fall for.
I do.
Okay.
Every time. Their cornerback situation is a problem. When I was there, I had to see the Colts team doctor because I convinced myself that I was getting cauliflower ear.
Oh, God.
That is not happening, so everyone can rest easy. But I did really get a nice behind-the-scenes look at the Colts team and the staff and the facility. Anthony Richardson, I absolutely love him. I never had a chance to talk with him until this past trip there, and he's incredible. First of all, he has an amazing voice, but he just has this presence about him. I would love to be able to tell you detailed accounts of practice, but when we are hosting those shows inside training camp, our back is to practice. So if I had eyes in the back of my head, it would be really, really helpful, but I don't because I'm sitting for 4 hours with my back to practice. So I can really only take away from the interviews that I do. But he's incredibly sweet. His little brother plays football at the high school right nearby, and he goes and watches his brother play football every day.
That's cool. So the whole family moved there?
Yeah. Yeah, they moved the entire operation. They were going to do that no matter where he was drafted, and so everyone now is set up in Indianapolis.
The only person with a deeper voice maybe in the NFL, well, not in the NFL anymore, is Andre Johnson. So that would be a good voice. Andre Johnson versus Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson, he needs to be doing voiceover work as well. It's a great voice. Kenny Moore, one of the best nickel cornerbacks maybe in the league. I think that he's going to have a great season. He's sort of like the elder statesman now in that room. So if the younger guys can realize some of their potential and some of those guys can really emerge, then they'll be able to bring it together. He was calling himself a pioneer at the position. So I would like to maybe see if we're calling Kenny Moore the pioneer this year, if he does start having some good plays.
Just that he's good at being a nickel corner and nickel cornerbacks are more valuable than they were when he started.
Yeah.
Or he's adding his own twist to it. He's forging a path for others to follow. He's a pioneer. He's the pioneer.
Okay.
He's Kenny Moore.
I mean, he wasn't
pioneer.
the first ever slot cornerback.
No, that's not what he's saying.
But, he
Antoine
plays it
Winfield.
differently.
I think of Antoine Winfield Sr., and I'm sure there were some before, but that guy was a pioneer.
Leatu Latu was flying off the edge. Everyone loves him.
He looked really good in the
Everyone's talking
preseason
about
opener.
him.
That was one thing that we did not get to in the Nick
Yeah.
Cook and myself wrap-up that I wish I had said, so I'm glad you brought him up.
Yes.
He looked great.
He's been glowing reviews out of camp for him. DeForest Buckner, talked to him. He loves Latu, and they also have a new defensive line coach there, which Defo just like absolutely lit up when he was talking about him. Michael Pittman.
You're close enough. You call him Defo. I know I've interrupted you like 7 times.
That's where we are now. Yeah. So we're friends. Michael Pittman. He giving lots of leader vibes from him. He thinks that Jonathan Taylor is going to have a 2,000-yard season. But obviously, when you look at their offense, all 5 starting offensive linemen are back together. That unit is cohesive. And with Jonathan Taylor healthy and Anthony Richardson healthy, and now Michael Pittman, they do have a nice shot at making some noise. See, look, this is what I'm doing.
I buy it. That I don't know if this is a hot take or whatever, but I do think the Colts ceiling is just as high as the Texans. And that ceiling is like 2 or 3 seed in the AFC.
Yeah.
I think they're that talented. Like their lines, their skill position guys, everything.
Just one last thing on Michael Pittman. He has a full-on farm that he works, and he has tons of animals on the farm. He's not from Indianapolis. I can't remember where he's from, but once he was drafted and once he got with the team, he moved there and bought the farm, and they have
literally
alpaca. They have emu, which he said is pronounced emu, and people get that wrong all of the time. Fresh eggs he brings into the facility for everyone. He was trying to hawk a hay out to people because I guess that's a thing. And the Colts have a real rooster problem at their training camp because I guess there is a farm next door. A lot of farm talk down there in Indy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And he went to Oaks Christian in Westlake Village,
in California.
Yeah, so that's surprising.
Yeah,
but I love it.
People contain multitudes.
I love that. I love that setup for the Colts training camp, and I loved our trip around the country with Colleen Wolfe. And yeah, it is weird when they're kicking field goals at Colts training camp. It just goes into
the neighbor's yard
next door. That's old school. Mm-hmm. Although that's actually their facility. It's not like a random high school they're playing at. That's their facility. It just goes into...
They bought the land from the farm people next door, the farmers.
All right, we are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to tell some people, other than the Darnold Hive, to pipe down. Oh, yeah. We're only 3 weeks away from kickoff, by the way.
That's it?
3
weeks.
Right around the corner.
You feel like that's a lot? Or that's too
No,
too little?
it's gonna fly. I'm still trying to get a little bit of summer in.
Yeah.
Even though it's over.
We're in week 6 here at NFL Daily, Colleen, and I'm saying, I've been there. 5 days a week, we've been there.
I've already lost my tan.
Come with me. We need you here. You're done.
All right. Fine.
You're done.
Fine.
Maybe that's why I'm a little ornery, a little agitated, and wanting to tell people to pipe down. We already started with the Darnold. So I don't want to go in first since I already did it. Why don't we start with our friend Patrick Claybon?
Yeah, it's a familiar set of guy. It's a set of guy who's always around in the preseason. He comes to remind you whenever you're celebrating somebody's performance, how they play, they say, hey, it's the preseason. We know. We're sitting here waiting for the football season all the time. We're sharks. All we do is swim and eat. We try to accomplish some aspect of life, and then we experience the football season, and that's it. And if it was that easy for people to go out and play well and have success in the preseason, more people would do it. We know that it's the preseason. All of those caveats are already applied. Go away. Let us enjoy football. What are you doing?
I will say, because I feel this whenever I'm hosting the preseason shows and we're doing the pre and the post and everything, and I'm going over numbers. If I don't say that it's the preseason, you have that caveat of it being the preseason, then people come after me and they're like, it's the preseason. So
yeah, but that's fine.
Yes.
We're all just saying the same thing. We get it. This is just, we have to do this. It's a formality of the season. And we're all just trying to get through it together.
But let us enjoy it too. And let us provide context where the context is appropriate or when we need. But also the whole it's the preseason thing is, if a great throw happens, it's still a great throw.
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who's out there. They're like, and they're always saying like, oh yeah, he did it on some FedEx, employee. It's like, no, that guy's just going to be on a practice squad and he'll be on another 90-man roster another year. These are professionals.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also don't take shots at FedEx employees or UPS or DHL or anybody that works for our incredible postal service.
There we go.
Or
Wow.
just like any shots in general. I don't know if you guys watched the Eagles-Ravens preseason game, but one of the members of the chain gang, I am still so upset about this. This poor man did nothing. He was just doing his job. Yep. And who was it? Was it Jerry Sandusky?
It was Jerry Sandusky, not that Jerry Sandusky. And this trouble,
broadcaster.
Yeah, not that Jerry Sandusky, the broadcaster for the Ravens.
When
he got a little hot water.
Like, I don't even know why it started, but he just went after this poor man and personally attacking him for his size, his glasses. I'm like, this man is just trying to see. Why is this a problem that he's wearing glasses? And what did he do to you? And he can't even defend himself. And you're going after him on a broadcast?
Okay, was he specifically targeting the dude because he was out of shape? Because when I saw it, actually, I happened to see it live.
It was upsetting.
It was talking about how they have the new technology where the lasers are going to measure fourth down or not instead of the chain gang. But in that game, they had the chain gang. And they're like, can't we just get the lasers? You got these people out here that, are in the best shape. And then, so I feel like it was also the cameraman. The cameraman is getting away with this because when Sandusky was just saying it, he was just saying generically, like, hey, some of these people, they're not in the best shape. They got glasses. What do they got to do?
Here's our guy.
And then the cameraman finds this guy specifically and was like, oh, this type of guy? So
I don't know. Chicken or egg? I feel like they had him on the camera first and then Jerry just went in.
Okay.
And look at this poor man. What? Come on. He did nothing wrong.
I think he looks great. I think the cameraman has some responsibility in this. The director does as well. And I think Jerry's making the point that I've been making for a long time. We've come a long way. We got satellites in outer space. We got multiple robots on Mars.
Yes.
We can do better. Jerry's my guy.
Although we can't do better yet. I got to say, they've been trying this out, and I've been monitoring it, and week one didn't go too smoothly. All the lasers were taking like 35 seconds, and the game was stopping. So they need to work on that process.
I called sabotage on pass interference replay. I may be calling sabotage here. I just hope that everybody's making a good faith effort to get this done. Because some people may be motivated to not.
I just want to check on that guy though, and make sure that everything's okay.
I hope
I still feel upset about it.
Okay, so my first pipe down is I'm gonna go with this one first because it's what inspired me to want to do this segment, and also it's very similar to yours. And this is to the Packers fans out there to pipe down about Caleb Williams hasn't proven anything yet. I put something out there that was like, it must be a little weird for Packers fans to finally recognize, hey, after 100 years, the Bears, they finally got one. We've been blessed with our quarterback after quarterback after quarterback, and we got another. I'm not saying anything about Jordan Love, but hey, you got this other one. And yes, every single reaction was like, it was one pass, man, because I, did it off a quote tweet. Let's see some of the responses that I got that annoyed me. I will address them one by one. One was like, haha, bro, they said the same thing about Trubisky and about Fields. There was a lot of that. Just wait. He'll learn his place soon.
Oh, his place? What?
There was a lot of weird Packers.
There's some codes in
Red
here.
flag.
Yes, Packers paternalism. And hey, newsflash, he's not Mitchell Trubisky. It's not one throw. And I like Justin Fields. I always defended him. He's not Justin Fields. He's the best prospect that a lot of people, including myself, believe we've ever seen. All you got to do is see all those throws. He's incredibly talented. He's not going to be one of those guys. So get that out of your head.
I honestly, that dovetails very nicely into one of mine. Because,
oh wait, I got more tweets.
Okay.
I want to throw them up before.
Let's shame them all.
Yeah, let's shame them all. Let's see another one.
I don't want to shame anyone.
I do.
This was the point. Same tweet as the past 30 years. Okay, I got that too. And then it's early days. Great. Just wait till he breaks a painted nail. And I went and checked and made sure these were all Packers fans. They were all Packers fans. It's just like, you need to do better than that. And also, it annoys me, all the people. There was a million of them that was just like, we don't care. We don't care at all, bro. It's like, by responding and saying you don't care, that's saying how much you care.
So
you told on yourself.
If you didn't care, you wouldn't respond. with exclamation points.
What is the implication there with the painted nail? Just so we're clear, is that
I don't know.
we're making commentary on people's fashion choices?
I think that's it. That he's not
tough and strong you are.
He's not a tough guy.
You're on Twitter, dog. Like anybody.
I have enjoyed him on Hard Knocks, Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Been a little light on substance this Hard Knocks so far.
Mhm.
Like they haven't had the best access or something. But I do enjoy just getting the vibe of Caleb Williams, of what he's like as a teammate and leader, and that.
It's a nice little window.
All right, let's go to yours.
Well, it's perfect because everyone who gets so overhyped about the rookie quarterbacks, how they looked in the preseason, we see one drive, maybe 2 drives, and usually it's against maybe not even the first team defense, and a lot of times they don't even have all of their first team offensive linemen, and like it's just such a mismatch of all of the things that you're not going to see in the regular season, and they make the expectations people do so high off of such a small sample size that a lot of times it sets up, I think, players in general for failure instead of success because you're basing it off of the preseason, which is basically an NFL placebo. And if you think about last year, CJ Stroud, he threw a pick on his second pass of the preseason. His completion percentage, I looked it up, was 55%, had a 62 passer rating. And then he went on to have the best rookie season, offensive rookie of the year. And just for comparison, wasn't a rookie last year, but Kenny Pickett, he completed 13 of 15 passes in the preseason. They won every single game. He had a perfect passer rating. He was anointed. And then look what happened. Now he's in Philadelphia.
Colleen, but that doesn't mean people shouldn't check out Nick Shook and I's week 2 preseason recap, which is going to look through the mess and find out what actually matters.
We don't get too high. We don't get too low.
Yeah. Like in the depth chart stuff, that's what I learned the most. It's what NFL teams are watching in terms of watching other teams. They look to see, okay, who's playing with the starters, who's not, for their week 1 opponent, like who is getting the most snaps with Josh Allen. So Buffalo's first week opponent is like looking, okay, those are the receivers we need to prepare for. That type of stuff you can learn.
It's an evaluation for everybody, right? In the preseason, they're not just looking at the quarterbacks, and so you have to fully contextualize and get your expectations from fully contextualized
I think it's just such a tease. Like I'm just like I just need to get to the season.
It's like sometimes the expectations.
You need to warm up though. You've been in summer mode. You need to.
For
I don't like a warm up. That's why I get hurt all the time.
Just get out there.
Patrick, give me something else. Someone to pipe down.
Yeah, pipe down. Boston Celtics fans.
Whoa, that's not even football.
Yeah, it's not football. Just real quick, it was great. It was spectacular to watch. A really special.
We got Sam behind the glass.
Win a gold
Does
medal,
a great
Sam,
job
Greg.
wearing his.
I love you guys.
His fist at you.
But every single game, I had to watch this incredible activities, especially in the medal rounds, and then I log on.
Okay.
I had to log on and see why is it Jason Tatum playing? Like, did you guys enjoy the game? And I only say that to poke fun at you guys. Congratulations.
His parents getting involved on Twitter about
that was a problem. They maybe needed to pipe down. They were just making it worse. But I would never have done that. I was disappointed that he was not playing well and can't hit a shot, and that I think he's had kind of a rough post-championship run here. You should be able to enjoy that, and that hasn't been great, but it was all made up for by my guy Derek White being out there on the biggest stage with the best players in the world and getting that gold medal. Well, Derek White.
Yeah, but my actual one.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you guys. Is people who are taking poorly contextualized camp one-on-ones where somebody's literally covering half the field and then one player, and it's like Xavier Worthy and Patrick Mahomes is throwing them the ball. And like, yeah, we're looking at it from an offensive point of view, and it's like, oh, wow, I'm excited about this. And then it's like, oh, that poor defensive back is getting toasted. He has no chance.
Yeah.
Like, there's no chance when you see just how much field people are working with, especially in these 7-on-7s and quarterbacks are out there. I sat there and watched Joe Burrow dice up the Bengals defense. You would think these guys had no chance.
Well, except for at Raiders camp.
Yeah, well,
that
Raiders
was the one camp where I was just like, Devontae wasn't there that day, and it was like they weren't winning the 1-on-1s and 7-on-7s. I was like, oh, this is a little different. But you're absolutely right that especially 1-on-1s, but even the 7-on-7s, it's just a different sport. Everyone at Patriots camp is like, if you just watch 7-on-7s, Drake May is by far maybe not by far, but he's the best quarterback because he can just go sling it. But that's not football.
Yeah. I mean, it's guys, it's the preseason. I have a bunch of little ones, smaller
Please.
ones. But honestly, the Cowboys, the fact that everyone is sort of getting upset about them potentially blowing up the core after this season, I'm not sure that is actually what is going to happen here. I just don't really see a world where Jerry Jones is going to just let Dak walk away.
Ooh, much ado about nothing.
After
That's good.
this season. And CeeDee Lamb, too. It just feels like the Cowboys are sort of the parents that take away your phone when you're in trouble and then they just like give it right back to you. Like at the end of all of this, they're probably both going to get exactly what they want because Jerry wants this team to succeed and he knows that he has this talent here right now. I just don't think that I can't imagine him blowing this up right now with both of them here.
You're hitting me in a sweet spot here as a too soft parent. That
you know,
I am that parent that it's like, no, you can't do this, and then
they just look at you with those eyes.
A half an hour
Never
later,
again.
Like, okay, you're not going to do it for a half hour. Then you're going to get exactly what you wanted.
Yeah,
but you wouldn't have had it in the first place if you hadn't whined.
Look what happened with Dak's last deal. Like he got the no trade clause. He didn't get franchise tag
After his leg broke into two pieces.
Okay, here's my only pushback on that.
Okay,
and maybe it's because I'm rooting for it. CeeDee Lamb, I agree, it's going to happen in the next week or two.
Jamar Chase,
whatever
same thing.
Micah Parsons. Eventually, you would think that happens. That's not this year. What if Dak Prescott doesn't want to play for the Dallas Cowboys anymore after this year? I think that's a pretty realistic possibility. That he would love to see what's available, see the biggest contract in the history of the sport, and quite possibly would like to play for a different team because this team has certain challenges being the quarterback for this team that other teams don't have. Because now he's already there. Why would he sign a contract now?
He already referenced like Aaron and Tom and Peyton going to second spots, but I feel like the difference is those guys picked a team that they thought could immediately contend that was better. I mean, Aaron's situation with Green Bay was, there was a lot going on there. But I just wonder how many teams are going to be able to present the same kind of talent around Dak.
Which is maybe why he just wants to go see. But let's see, like he wants to get there. They'll get the biggest contract in the history of the NFL by far if he does get there. I think he'll get the biggest contract ever right now, but not by far. It would be bigger if he goes, and he can see who's there. And maybe it turns out to be options he doesn't like, and then he feels better about staying.
Have you thought about where he might want to go next year?
Yes.
Where?
I think the Rams would be interesting.
Okay.
Now, I know Stafford just signed another contract, but I think that coaching tree in general would love to coach Dak Prescott, and I think the Rams would be an attractive one.
And it's Los Angeles.
The Raiders would certainly put their hat in the ring. Now, maybe that's not going to be as attractive, I think.
Colleen has put this in my head now, and I can see it, that Jerry Jones would rather be the tough man who doesn't want to do this and then ultimately do it.
Yeah.
And then he still gets credit for being the tough man who doesn't give and isn't negotiated.
Precisely.
But he also gets to pay the guys that he ultimately wants to pay anyway. But I do think it's not saving any money. You could just go ahead and pay them.
There's also a cap hit. It's a whole, it's a problem.
But it's good for Jerry.
Yeah, but it's
good for Jerry's brand. Yeah.
Situations always open up. Pittsburgh could be a place. Cleveland could be a place looking for a quarterback next year, although the finances of that would be maybe impossible.
Ooh.
I'm just throwing random ones out. Denver, who knows? You never know.
Pilot Flying J brought to you by Dak Prescott.
Which actually, Denver, I'm going to bring up a mini one, which is like, hey, let's pipe down Bo Nix truthers. Like, let's just 15 for 21. Like, he was bailing out of clean pockets a little early. I'm not saying anything good or bad about it, but there is a certain Denver feels to me as not paternalistic. What is the word? I don't know. They really overrate their guy. Like, their fans and their media always overrate their team more than most places. That's all.
Mm-hmm. You're right, though. Like, it's like a parent and like their kids
just like
really looking through.
Here's another pipe down. Pipe down the people that keep saying, well, you should just, and this is basically Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk, but I've seen Kyle Shanahan talk about it too, which is, let's just kick it in. If they're going to kick it into the end zone every time anyways, let's just bring it out to the 30. why are you against fun? Like, and then why Kyle Shanahan are you like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. That's a compelling idea. Why don't we just kick it into the, like, no wonder your team didn't know about the overtime rules. You hadn't thought of that yet?
Kyle might occasionally spin out an inaccuracy or an untruth.
Okay, you're saying he had thought about that, and he's just like,
I feel like Kyle's probably considered any number of things and just likes to, give us something to think about.
okay, here's the thing with
He's being facetious, right?
here's the thing about kicking it out to the 30. Okay, yeah, we're preventing possibly giving up plays and blah, blah, blah. First of all, it's lame. It's like not competing.
Lame. You're lame.
But more than anything, people are acting like 5 to 6 yards of field position is nothing. Do you know how much scoring is going to go up if the average field position goes from like 23, 24, which it was doing on kickoffs last year when they actually kicked it short, like to the 30? It's going to skyrocket.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal. So I don't buy that coaches are just going to accept that L.
No, because I think the first place we're going to see special teams coaches out of here at an even more alarming rate than we always, because they're already the first to go in a whole bunch of situations and take a lot of blame. But I think it's going to be tough.
Any more pipe downs from you?
What about Jordan Love as the MVP contender after, like, yes, he had a great end to the season.
You're telling people that say that to pipe down.
Maybe just like pump the brakes. Maybe not pipe down, but like let's just like maybe reel it in a little bit. He had a really good 2-month stretch to end the season, but it's just such a small sample size. I know that they went into Dallas and they beat the Cowboys and he looked really good, but let's just maybe, I don't know, pump the brakes a touch.
I have considered that he's going to be a streaky quarterback, and so I hope for him, like, the streaks happen after he has a strong start to the season. I'm very high on Jordan Love in general, but I do think just the way he plays football, he's a little Josh Allen-y with. There's going to be some ups and downs. So you're right. Like, if he has a couple bad games to start, I don't think people should panic. But
I'm not actively rooting against him or for this to happen. I'm just saying, like, maybe we adjust expectations.
Packers fans are eating it today. I mean, Randy Chavez, a famous Packers fan, told me he's indifferent about Caleb Williams. What about her take here? I mean, but even you saying you're indifferent, I don't know if I buy it.
Is it so bad for me to want the rivalry to be competitive again?
Oh,
exactly.
Wow. That's hubris.
Because
no, you know what? I got some Packers responses, very few, but a few that were like, hey, this is cool. The rivalry is going to be great. Like, our team is great. They finally have a quarterback. Like, bring it on.
I can't imagine I can't imagine being that spoiled, though.
No one likes to watch a movie that's good for the first, 50% of it, and then the entire third act is just bad. You want something that's good the entire way through, so we want a good game, a competitive game.
But if it's like fan service the whole movie and, like, you're getting the thing that you want, like, yeah, give me Darth Vader in the hallway at the end of Rogue One. Give me 3 hours of that. I'm a fan. Serve me. I want it.
Well, I don't know. We've had lots of years of quote unquote fan service, and it hasn't really accumulated to much for us. It's like, okay, cool, we won the division, and then we lose in like San Francisco or something.
Now, I'm with Patrick. I like blowouts as a fan. I like it. Like, people are like, oh, it's an easy path for the Celtics last year. It's like, yeah, this is great. I can be less stressed out about it. My final thing to pipe down on, this is pretty niche. It's to Jags Twitter, actually. It's like, Calvin Ridley's gone. Just let it go. I've just been noticing that, like, it's a whole thing. Jags and Titans fans, they don't like each other. It's, it's a rivalry there. They're also two of the forgotten sort of teams. And I got on the Jaguars front office for kind of botching this Calvin Ridley negotiation here. But you got Brian Thomas. He came back and made a nice deep catch.
That was great.
During the preseason. That was fun. Gabe Davis, I've heard, and you could see it, that they're using him a little differently than Buffalo did. Not just a deep guy. You saw him do some, like, they're going to be fine. And stop being so mad that, like, Calvin Ridley left. They're like, let it go. And he's going to be good too. Don't be mad at him either that he took more money to go.
Fault.
That was your Jaguars' fault.
Yeah. Anybody would make the same choice. Unless you're like Jackson DeVille himself, MJD or something. I got a quick one.
Please.
Okay.
Right now, it's fantasy related. Keenan Allen is the wide receiver 31. Like, I know that we love recency and we love youth and all that. We're punting on veterans a little too early in the fantasy world. Like, he was the wide receiver 8 last year. I just think like Keenan Allen still gets open.
Wait, what about this?
Good value though.
Did you see, because Patrick is hosting Fantasy Live now 3 days a week, Monday through Wednesday.
Shout out to Greg.
He is.
So everyone check him out on NFL Network. He came straight up from taping that show, so doing double
Look
duty.
at you.
I'm sure because you're such a part of the fantasy community, you were aware of the Keenan Allen weight controversy, that he's like up to 230 pounds or something. And yet, when you look at him, he looks good.
Yeah, the training camp weight thing is just like, what are we doing? Like, I think Keenan Allen forgot how to prepare for an NFL season. It's like you step on the scale and, things go up and down, whatever. I still think he can get open at 260. Put him at tight end. Who cares?
I was watching Hard Knocks, though, a little closer. Like, does Keenan Allen look bigger? I was like, no, he doesn't look any different to me. I don't understand it.
Remember the Leonard Fournette thing where they tried to convince us that he was
God.
600 pounds?
That was crazy. I was at training camp with him that year, and we had to interview him. And I was like, what are you going to get for lunch?
Keenan Allen, he is older, and that is a crowded offense. That's all.
All right.
Patrick's going to lunge across the table.
We're going to watch it.
Is the ceiling like that high for him this year? I think I get why he's a guy people aren't that excited to draft. Maybe
Wide
that's
receiver
low.
31.
That's pretty low.
Mm-hmm.
31, Greg.
That's right around where Terry McLaurin is.
He's going
by the way.
right before Tank Dell right now
Oh my
in
God.
drafts.
I mean,
He's going to prove everyone wrong.
we don't need the Tank Dell slander.
No, I love Tank Dell, but he's just right there. And then Rashee Rice, we don't know how much he's going to play. He's
Yeah.
right there
Okay.
too. Anyway.
That's fair.
Well, we know how much y'all are going to play. Patrick's going to be with me every Sunday night on the recap show.
Ooh,
Colleen will be on weekly during the regular season. And we've still got a couple weeks to go, though. Like I said, 3 weeks to kick off. So a couple more weeks that we're going to be getting ready.
3
We'll be
weeks of
doing it
summer, Greg.
every day on NFL Daily. Plan is we're going to have our friend Matt Harmon
Ooh,
on the final show of the week on Friday.
that's fun.
So check that out. Also recap the Patriots game. It's going to have a big appearance by Drake May, so that'll be fun. Until then, see you next time.